All right, let's get into it. Let's have a day. So, like I've been saying, we want to trade the overall market. Really, just looking for pullback longs off the previous day highs and the break and retest of the previous day high and pullback longs off the previous day lows. So, kind of see we're pulling back here in the market. Like I've been saying, I kind of hope the market kind of just have a big pullback day. So you can see if we do fall under this previous day low here on the SPY, you can see now we're kind of making lower lows. But this would just be the pullback. This is not saying that we are bearish. But you can see we've had a clear uptrend. So this would be a break of structure if we can get a break and retest under this previous day low and just pull back. We still got a very big gap to fill, a lot of thin volume to fill, but you can see buyers are starting to step up down here. This is considered, buying the dip, liquidity pocket, so that's something to look for. But today on the intraday, I will just be watching this buying the cues, to help me determine, what I want to do on my other entries on some of these stock names. I'm sorry, tech names. See here, the previous day high got swept here on cues during the pre-market. Same thing, if we can get a break and retest under this previous day low, that's a break of structure. And hopefully we just have a pullback day. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much just 5 days in a row where we have just been straight up making new all-time highs every single day. But that's expected, right? We were stuck in that channel after that sell-off for quite some time. And now that we broke outside of that channel, we're getting this neck leg higher, clean price action. So you can see buyers here are stepping up as well on the previous day low. So we'll just see what that does on the intraday. Now, AMD, this will be on my close watch list. You can clearly see this 258 is being highly respected. It's being defended by buyers as we speak, even during the pre-market. Let me go here on the 15-minute key level here being defended. You see buyers are stepping in. Goal here is to look for a long position targeting, pretty much this previous day high, which is the all-time high. And if this thing was to continue higher, see if we can gravitate towards, 272. If we fell under this, I would love for us to reclaim this and then get that move higher. As you know, when we fell a key level and reclaim, that is one of my favorite setups. But look at the past 3 days. I'm sorry, well, 2 days. Just on the dot, never got a candle closure under this key level. Buyers are defending this very well. So looking for a long off this. This will be on my close watch list. NVIDIA, hope it opens under the 203.15. Clearly, pretty much going to fill the gap. Let's go here on the daily. See, that'll be a gap fill, so that's really good. Nothing for me here till we pull back to this 195.60. But yeah, there's no key levels up here for me, so this won't be on my close watch list. But I hope that even this name today with the overall market can just have a pullback day. But it is filling this gap, so that's good to see. That is really good to see. Tesla will be on my close watch list, of course. I'll be looking for a pullback long off this 450 or a break and retest over this 466. Now, today's going to be a big day here on Tesla. The reason for that being is 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be 4 days in a row that we were in between 466 and 450. That's a big day here. So, if price wants to pretty much just sit in between these two key levels, we're pretty much consolidating again. We are consolidating again. We broke outside of that channel, had some clean price action, really the last 2 days, 2 to 3 days actually. And then now we're just sitting in the channel again, waiting for that next leg higher. So today's a big day on this name. I will be looking, for an entry down here on 450. But if we stay within this channel, going into tomorrow as well, I'm pretty much just going to be hands off until we break over this 466.50. But I'll cross that bridge when we get there. I'll explain that when we get there. But we'll see. Obviously, if we fall under 450, we're hands off this name because technically it'll be back in the channel. Price between 450 and 410 is our channel here on Tesla, and we're long bias on this name. So I really want to see us pull back here, see if buyers can step up, catch this at the bottom of the range, and hopefully, be able to swing trade this and see if this thing can gravitate towards all-time highs. But like I said, today I will be watching the Qs and the SPY to see what the overall market's going to do and see what these tech names will, if they're going to follow or they're just going to do their own thing and have some divergence. So we'll see. Palantir, this is what you love to see. Like I explained yesterday, this is the better RR trade. So that is something I will be looking for here on Palantir. This is a really solid name. It really, really is. So hopefully we can get this today. And then Hood, this is a long off this 140.50. I will be watching this. There is still a couple of gaps on this name to fill. So if we fall under this, I wouldn't be surprised. But this is these are the trades that I'm talking about when I say these are the A+ longs targeting, the top of this range and all-time highs. So, if Hood can pull back to this 140.15, I do like it. Nothing here. And then Google had amazing earnings, clearly. Price closed at 275 and it's almost at 300. So over the next couple of days, kind of just be a gap fill, or this thing could just have a gap and go. Okay, so got about 6 minutes here till market opens. You can clearly see both Tesla and AMD are pulling back to our key levels and respecting. Like I said, the only thing I really will be watching is just to see how both the SPY and the Qs react around the previous day lows. So you can see AMD, this thing is really defending this 250. I love to see that. Preferably, I actually would want this to fail under this, and then I can play the break and retest back above this on the reclaim. So I'll see here. Obviously, we know this is a name we're not looking at short anyway, so we'll see. And then you can clearly see this 450 being defended on Tesla. So just going to be very patient at open. As you know, I do not trade that first 2-minute candle. So we'll see if, if we get a little base above 450 and I see, bar step in, I'm willing to take that shot because that is the pullback long. We're not necessarily waiting for a break and retest on both of these names, actually. Both of these names, we're looking for pullback longs. So kind of just got to read the price action, be patient. If we rip that first 2 minute, I'm just gonna wait to see if we can dip back to this 450. We'll see. You can clearly see both these names are respecting this on the dot. I love to see that before market opens or even during the session. So 258, I did my job. Key level being respected on the dot. And then 450, I did my job. You see, we're pulling back here to 450 and 33 cents. So off by 33 cents. What was it, 2 days ago? We never got that deep pullback. So hopefully today we can get this set up here on Tesla. Not going to force it, just going to read the price action. We're long bias on the same. Love seeing this be the case here on AMD. So these are really my main watch coming into today. My main tech names is Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, and AMD. Less is more. Nvidia's out of the mix right now. Apple's out of the mix. It has earnings today after. So I'm just gonna less is more. I'm gonna give my focus on these. If my alert goes off on Hood or Palantir, I'll peek at it. But really my undivided attention is on these two names. So we'll see what sets up coming into open. We got about 4 minutes left. Okay, so we got 2 minutes here till market opens. Something that I've been noticing these past couple of days, really this week, and you've been hearing me say it. If we just rip at open, that's because we already got the retest. Yesterday I went on a whole spiel on how my patience has been tested this month. We've already got this is the retest. That is the retest. There's nothing we can do about that. I'm just saying if we open and just rip to the upside, you can clearly see this is a pullback long. Buyers are stepping in, and typically when we open, that's that rocket to the upside. So we shall see. We shall see. But there's nothing you can do about this. It's nothing. All you can do is respect how our key level is being respected perfectly here by buyers. But other than that, really nothing you can do. We'll see. As of right now, we got about a minute on the dot till market opens. SPY and the Qs are pulling back. The previous day low on the SPY is 282.87, and right now SPY is literally $1 away from that. And then yeah, the previous day low on Qs is 630.25. I'm sorry, 682 on the SPY, and it's 630.25 here on the Qs. So we'll see. Gonna be very patient here. I mean, that's just beautiful, bro. Not a single candle closure under that. That's just beautiful. We did our job. Found a key level. I love that. If we can get some type of pullback on this name, I like it. Crazy thing is, yeah, we're gonna wait and see here. Really just might be Tesla here. Yeah, market pulling back pretty heavy right now. We'll see if SPY and the Qs will give us a bounce at its previous day low. So don't trade that first 2 minute candle, so just gotta be patient here. And then I might have to skip AMD if we get that pullback. Look at the IV here, it's over 100. I'm not touching that. I think buyers are trying to defend this on Tesla. I do not trade that first 2 minute candle, so really just looking to be patient here. Market's pulling back pretty heavy right now. The market just open. If I don't get that, that's fine. Just gotta wait and see. Yeah, very annoying. That was a crazy candle. We'll see, because Q's look heavy right now. Q's looking like it's gonna break through this low day. Q's and the SPY looks like they're gonna break through low day. I'm sorry, previous day low. Yeah, Q is heavy. Okay, the IV, you can see the IV came down from 100 to 90 here. It's still a little high. It's still a little high. And that's why I do not chase and I do not let FOMO kick in. So I'm trying to be patient here because SPY and the Qs are pulling back very heavy right now. So that Qs breaking through the lower day. Trying to be patient here. There's divergence here on the Qs. I'm sorry, on Tesla. It's a good entry. I have to take that shot. If I lose this, it's worth the risk. You can see we're already up 31 bottom right. These contracts are moving. I do not really trade my P&L. I'm looking for this bigger move. If we can break through this, I like it, but I got to read the momentum here. It's worth the risk to me. If I lose this, that's a good loss. I was up 3,000, but I don't trade my P&L. I'm looking for the bigger R trade. I don't care about the scalp. The thing that I like about Tesla is the market's pulling back very heavy. This thing's holding up. So if we lose this trade, it's just because the overall market's just heavy. That's all. Like, that's a shot I got to take. I would take this shot over and over. It's a good trade. I know how aggressive Tesla can move, so I did play at the money cons. If we push up into this high and reject again, I'll probably have to scale out there, but AMD fell. Yeah, so if Tesla fails, it's just because the overall market's heavy. Today's a pullback type of day already. But the thing I know about Tesla is like Tesla can do its own thing. Yeah, the market's heavy right now. As you know, I don't trade my P&L. Those are just bad habits. But the one thing I'm noticing, because I'm looking at the Qs in the SPY, when Qs bounce, so does Tesla. So if I lose this, that's a really, I would 100% take this trade again. That was a good shot. Really good shot. Market's just so heavy. I'll give this another shot if we reclaim this, but I'm not just going to blindly take this. That's a good shot. Hope that makes sense. Like some people would take that off here. We were up like 3,100, but that's not how I trade. Like I don't care about that. This trade works. That's an 8,000, 6,000, $10,000 trade. So I'm going to be patient here just because the market's pulling back very heavy. So I just don't want to go long again while this market's pulling back. So I'm just reevaluate this. I'll have to wait for like some strong buyers to kind of step in. Even then, you can see it's trying to be defended for sure. You beat AMD stepping up, buyers are stepping up here on. The overall market's very heavy right now, so I'm just trying to be mindful of that. You see AMD's holding this. The IB was high, so I don't really care for that. And then this is Tesla on a Thursday. So that was a really good sell because I think I sold for around like a 10% loss. That's perfect. It's perfect. See, that's why I didn't want to re-enter that. The market's just too heavy. But that's what I've been asking for. I've been asking for, this overall market to pull back. So that was a really good shot. You saw it was up like over 3,000, but that's just not how I trade. I don't wag my tail on my P&L. We know when Tesla runs, it runs. I'm looking for that run. And then I can't sell before we even hit the high day. That's not even a good RR. So I would 100% take that trade again. That's what you call a good loss. I ended up passing on AMD just because IB was a little high, and then as we know, Tesla's really our A plus we've been looking for. But we didn't FOMO into that. I'm very happy with my entry. I got in on this candle, right? Look at my risk. Got in here, 30-cent risk. That's perfect. I waited for a little bit pullback just to see what happened. So very happy with that. It's a big bounce right now in the market. Big bounce. I'm not just gonna force this trade. If we reclaim this, I gotta wait for a candle closure. I gotta wait for like a candle closure and then like a momentum candle, like something like this. I need this candle to close and then I'll see. I doubt it though. Trying to defend. It's definitely trying to defend. I just don't want to like blindly take this while this market is still pulling back. And there's one more shot here. Maybe I prematurely stopped out here. Like I said, you fell under. That fuels that move higher, but these are Tesla cons, so I can't really give that room like I would on an Apple or an AMD. So we'll see. Overall market is pushing fairly hard. I want to see if we can get like this push um, into this high day. But the only thing I am cautious of is pretty much the Qs pushing into the previous day low and then retesting that for a move lower. That's something I'm kind of cautious of. So, we'll see. I definitely prematurely stopped out. Which to the damage body tells the story, but it's Tesla. Like I gotta have like tight risk management on those. And I played at the money cons. I played at the money contracts. So Tesla moves very well. Like these contracts are already up 15% from my entry point right now. So I want to see if we can get this push. The only thing I'm mindful of is, like I said, the Qs retesting this previous day low, but SPY just ripped through the previous day low and reclaimed that. So that shows me buyers are in control. Tesla's trying. On a technical standpoint, I really should have never got stopped out looking at this 450 on the 5-minute. That's a pretty big stop, those contracts. On a Thursday and Friday, God honest truth, you really want to play like two strikes in the money on Tesla. Okay, so what we're seeing here is I'm starting to see a little bit of sellers step in at this previous day low here on the Qs, but SPY is ripping. SPY's about to break through the high day. So we'll just see if this can play out. Like I said, all this is noise. As long as we're above 450, everything else is noise. So we'll see. We'll clearly see there's some buyers here. Tesla's trying to get, but I'm sorry, sellers here. The divergence is kind of crazy. SPY is already ripping through the high day. I know if Tesla can get over this thing can run. Okay, Qs is over the high day. Beautiful. These contracts are up 15%. I don't trade my P&L. I'm up 20% on these, so I'm looking for this, right? I'm not going to force it, but I'm looking for that. If this thing can rip through the high day, that would be a solid trade. I should have never got stopped out on that first one, but that was just too big of a stop loss. That's exactly what you want to see. These contracts are up 30%. When Tesla runs, it runs. Beautiful bounce on this market, bro. Beautiful bounce on this market. I want to see this turn into support. These cons are up over 30%. Beautiful. Beautiful bounce on this market. I love to see that. Let me get out there. I got some more cons. I'm not going to be greedy. If I see every time we push into this high day, um, seller step in, I got to get out of that. These contracts are holding up. Even on this pullback, my runners are up 20%. Yeah, the market rallied very well. Very, very well. Wow, V-shaper. Wow, that's crazy. I should have never stopped out on here. Um, but like I said, it's Tesla, bro. I'm not messing with those cons on that type of pullback. I'm really looking for this. I'll have to let my contracts stop me out for break even. My contracts are still up, over 20%. So it was a solid, like our thesis was right. We just got that pullback. Our thesis was right. Look at AMD. But as we know, AMD is not going to move on, like off this trade alone from here to the high day. AMD is not giving us a 30% trade. That's a fact. So nice. Bro, this market is crazy right now. SPY and the Qs, it's crazy V-shaped recovery, both sitting above the high day. Very annoying I got stopped out here, but it doesn't matter. We already made our money back. Just gotta be patient here. Damn. Yeah, that's a big pullback. There's no way I'm sitting on that. We took our trade off of 450 and we pulled back to 448.58. So that's just a super big stop loss if that doesn't work. So my goal here, I'm not really looking to scale out anymore. I just want to see what this does. I gotta let the cons take me out for break even. Like I always say, as long as we are above 450, everything else is noise. We could do this, we could come and do that. All that is noise as long as we are above 450. But if we can turn this high day into support, I like it. I like it. I'm very big on, one a day trade, but this is the trade we've been waiting for. This is the trade we've been waiting for. So I would say my mistake, well, it's not even a mistake, but it's hard to sit in that, right? It's hard to sit in that. But I never got a candle closure under my stop loss. So they're a clear seller defending this. We cannot get a body candle closure above this. If this was still my first entry, I probably wouldn't have looked to scale out here. But since I re-entered, I had to, once I see, we push into this high day and sellers are stepping in, I got to scale out there. Overall market's moving. So yeah, this market's rallying. I just need Tesla to kind of follow behind. Both the SPY and the Qs are just shooting to the upside. So I'm still kind of holding this. You can see the tech names. It's just Tesla. I mean, AMD's already got above the high day and moving higher. Tesla's the only one lagging behind. It's kind of annoying, but yeah, the strong seller sitting at this 454 here on the intraday. Just trying. As we know, your runners can make you more than your entire position itself. So if I get stopped out for break even on these, that's fine. Like I got to take that shot. Like I said yesterday, our patience really has been tested. In the month of October. So we'll see. But I got to exit this for break even on my runners. Yeah, Tesla's just doing his own thing. It's just stuck in between. Yesterday, if you heard me say, I had a breakdown. I said, statistically speaking, if a stock sits in between the first 5 minute candle, it's going to consolidate. I said that on the dot, and that's kind of what we're seeing. So my finger's on the sell. I'm just waiting. My runners are down to I'm still up 4%, 5% on them. So I'm just waiting to see. But I gotta stick to my rules. Yep, I'm out. Solid. I tried. We made our money back, but I tried. Like, look at the market right now. That is crazy. Look at the market. Look at that. That is wild. Fell under the previous day low, reclaimed, broke over the high day. Look at SPY. SPY stronger than the Qs. Right? Look at AMD. AMD. Beautiful pullback long on AMD. We end up breaking through the high day, returning that into support, continuing higher. So I tried. Tesla's just doing his own thing. Tesla's just doing his own thing. But what did I just say at the start of market open? Give me one sec. I'm not surprised. We're starting to form a channel in here. We are starting to form a channel in here. You can clearly see. We can clearly see we're starting to form a channel in here. That is not a surprise. I had to stop out for break even on the runners, but solid trade. Solid trade. You know, I ended up getting stopped out. I had a pretty good stop loss placement. There's no way. Like, this thing broke under the lower day. And, you know, Tesla moves very well on the underline. We know that. So those cons move against you pretty quick. And I played at the money. I was very conservative, but ended up making our money back. But I really wish, because I know this. I know these things. I broke down before. The reason I really like to hold in my key zones is because I know when a stock is trending and we are bullish to the upside or bearish, these are squeezed. These are shorts getting squeezed out of their positions. And what does that do? That fuels this move higher. So we were in that move when I got in on the second entry. This is what I was afraid of happening. So that's why we were able to make our money back and some, just because we fell under, right? We fell under, we reclaimed with momentum and got this push into the high day. So I hope that makes sense. I know that's going to happen. Those are my favorite setups. But yeah, Tesla's just doing its own thing. Tried to manage this on the 5-minute. You saw me scale out here just because, yeah, sellers just kept showing their hands. I was really hoping we can kind of get a candle closure above this, but patience has been tested for sure. And then this is the trade where, you know, if you enter and you don't scale out, you have to sit in this. You can't sell for a loss. Um, you know, if we're still above 450. Now, if you scale out, then you have to sell your runners for break even. You have to sell your runners for break even. Because the same way they can make you a ton, you know, it can make your overall position go red as well. But look at this on the Qs. Look at this, bro. This is wild. Like, this is what I was looking at. So I'm thinking, you know, Tesla has to follow. Look at that. That is beautiful. And Tesla's just doing his own thing. AMD did the break and retest over high day. I don't regret my trade. It was a really good trade. It was a really good shot. We made our money. Um, you saw my first entry. I did not trade my P&L. I was up 3,100. I did not care because I know Tesla can pay you. You know, when I got in on that second entry, just from here, targeting the high day, those contracts went up to 30%. And that was at the money contracts. So, you know, I know a lot of people hate when, or not a lot of people hate, but, you know, I understand as a new trader when people only focus on Tesla and it's hard to trade that with a small account, but that's why, because Tesla's going to pay you the most. Like, it just moves, you know, on a regular day, you know, averaging, you know, $20 in a single day. So just a trade from here to high day is a 30% plus trade. You're not going to get that on Apple or AMD or even Nvidia. Yeah, you get a decent day, maybe a 15% at the high day, whatever, or a little bit under, depending on, you know, how those cons move. But that's why everyone really focuses on Tesla. Do not regret my trade. It was a really good trade. It was a really good shot. My first entry. I was hesitant to stop out, but something I could have done differently was just play 2 strikes out of the money. But that being said, you know, waist to the damage, body tells the story. I should have waited for this candle to close under. Easier said than done. You know, that's a big stop loss. I don't trade my P&L. But I'm very happy with the trade. Today's just, it's not the day. I'm definitely not taking another trade. But see, understanding this, when I saw this, I'm not going to force that. So I sold 90% of my position there. I'm not going to force to hold that. I would love to, absolutely. I would love to, but I'm not going to force that. So that was a really good sell. I knew to take some off. I sold into that momentum push. Those cons went over 30%. Super solid day. Super solid day. Playing your trade, trade your plan. But like you heard me say, now coming into tomorrow, give me one sec. Pretty much gonna call it here. But coming into tomorrow, um, I'm not too open, you know, to take a trade off. Maybe I'm not really too open to take a trade off this 450. We'll kind of have to see how today goes. But like I said, it's been 4 days. We're stuck in between these two. This is a channel, and then you can clearly see the price action that we're getting. Like, that's expected. We're in a channel. So AMD would have been nice, but very happy with my trade. You can see buyers are trying to defend this, but tomorrow's a Friday and it's a Tesla. Like, I'm definitely gonna be more conservative just because, well, it's a Friday, right? Zero GTEs. Now, I will see how this goes because I will be potentially looking to swing Tesla. You know, if we can get a break and retest off one of these key levels and just hold it. That's kind of the goal. But The A plus now, like for sure, the A plus trade is really over this 466.50. We took our shot here, and it's just being patient. We got paid for our patience here. This was a really good day. Now imagine if these columns ran from this key level to that key level. Crazy. But what I mean, see, that was a good sell. I'm very happy the way I managed that trade. I got stopped out. I was very patient. I didn't chase this candle. I waited for this candle to close, and then I waited for some momentum, and we rode this whole thing. We caught this whole move. That is beautiful. That's 450 to 4. That's a $5 move. Very happy how I managed this trade. Very happy. Today's a textbook type of day. Super solid. But hey, what I'm saying is now that we're in this channel, I'm just not fond of it. Like we're forming. Let me go in the 1 hour just so you can see. Like you can see, we're still stepping higher. This thing is bullish on the higher time frame, 100%. We're a bullish bias. But you can see twice in a row, yesterday and Tuesday. Yeah, today's Thursday. Yesterday and Tuesday, we pushed up into our 466, and sellers just stepped in very aggressively. So it was looking promising. And you can see we're kind of just getting the spill off. Tesla's doing its own thing. It's clearly not moving with the overall market. You can see, the dips are getting bought up here on AMD. The overall market's moving. But go back and in yesterday's session, right? This is like years of just trading, screen time. I'm tracking my own data. I learned that if the price of whatever stock you're trading, mainly the techs I can speak on because that's where my data comes from. If the stock price stays in between that first 5-minute candle, 8 times out of 10, it's a choppy day. It's a choppy day. So not only are we within between the first, open and print 5-minute candle, we're also sitting in a channel. We're also sitting in a channel. So very unfortunate. This thing, I'm gonna take this shot every time. I'm gonna take this shot every single time. I do not care. As long as my risk is there, risk management's there, you got to take that shot. We saw yesterday, we had that sell off at the end of the day. Buyer stepped up very aggressively, pushed this thing higher. We were looking for the pullback long today. We ended up getting that. So really, none you can do about everything else. Thankfully, I passed on AMD. You and I both saw at market open. And I don't know why, because I looked. Well, I guess everyone's just expecting it. Like earnings is next week. It has nothing to do with this week. So the IV on that name was over 100. That was crazy. Obviously, I was not touching that. I was not touching that. Really good lesson here today. And you can see Tesla's trying to hold up. It really is. Look at the 15-minute. We see the damage body tells the story. It's trying to hold up, but just on the intraday, like look at these wicks. So far, even on the smaller time frame, the lowest body of the candle close was 449.76. 449.76. So, this 450 is being defended. We see the damage body tells the story. So this thing is holding. This is why I say treat it like mini zones. But this, I don't really regret my sell because the overall market was thinking. Actually, let me show you. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Give me one sec. Okay. I'm gonna get out of this. This was at 642. Okay. Where's the Q's at 640? 642. This thing is making new lows. And then I see my overall stock that I'm in a trade in break and also make a new low. I got to get out of that because I got the overall market, pulling me back. No regrets. Now, a couple of things to break down here. When we first entered this trade, we saw the divergence, which was really good. But see this pullback? I was like, okay, yeah, I got to get out of that because this thing's pulling back. It's making new lows. Very happy with the trade here today on Tesla. Today's a really big lesson day. I'll break down everything in step, but today's a really big lesson day. But you see what I'm seeing, the correlation? I took my long here. I'm trusting my level. I'm trusting my analysis. My thesis was correct. The overall market's just heavy. Look at what Q's is doing at open versus what Tesla's doing. Right, buyers are stepping up aggressively on these two candles, and the overall market's a falling knife. So that's something that's intriguing me. Divergence. You can see we ended up trying to defend. We had a peak and fell. We pushed to the upside. So this is a really good shot. Now, what do I mean by it's a lesson? But I hope this makes sense on why I got out of my trade. Because when I sold, I wasn't even really looking at Tesla. I was really looking to see what the Qs are doing. And you can see this thing was just pulling, making new lows, and Tesla was falling behind it, so I had to get out of that. Very happy with that. That's why you respect your stop loss, because when you re-enter, you make your money back and some. So really good risk management today. But what I want to go over is a couple of things here. It's a really big lesson day. So number one, my entry. That's number one. Why did I enter my trade? One, right at open, my level was being defended. We pull back, buyer step in, body of the candle closure. That's perfect. I did not FOMO into this and chase this. I almost did, but I didn't. I didn't like it because I knew the risk was too big. Remember, my stop loss is down here. Entering on this push, that's terrible risk management if this pulls back, which it ended up doing. So that's one, right? Market opens, my level's being defended. I'm intrigued. Okay, cool. I'm looking for my pullback. I don't FOMO. We get this pullback again. Why do I enter? Strong buyer step up here. Strong buyer step up here. And the overall market is pulling back very heavy, right? You see this? That. Number two, and this is really the main one. I do not trade my P&L. I don't. I don't care to look for a quick scalp or a quick green trade. I know. I trust my system. I trade my system. My system will pay me very, very well. It always does. We all saw, I switched to the P&L just so you can see. If you go back and watch that, when I was in this trade on this candle, we were already up $3,100. On this entry alone, just one candle, we were already up over $3,100. Did I sell based off my P&L? No. When you do that, that is an emotional sell. I don't scale out because I'm looking for the bigger move. As soon as I scale out, I'm telling myself, okay, I no longer trust my system, right? When you scale out and the trade's working in your favor and there's no reason to get out of that trade, that's an emotional decision. You want to lock in greens, or you saw your P&L and you're like, okay, I'm up this amount, let me protect it. You have to be detached. I am detached. This is my safety net. As long as I got a stop loss, that's my safety net. Whatever else happens, I don't care, right? So that's really the main lesson as well. Is I didn't trade my P&L. I was up 3,100. We pushed into this high day, but I saw divergence against the market. I want to let this develop. I'm looking for this to play out. Trend your friend. I feel really good in the trade. Ended up getting stopped out. Perfect, right? That's a great trade. Was up over 3 grand. Got stopped out. Respected my stop loss. What did I do? I just didn't re-enter this very blindly, right? I reevaluated. I said, I want to see a candle closure. I want to see this candle close and then see what this next candle does above this key level and wait for momentum. I called it out before it happens. I took my shot and we got this whole push, right? So if we got in here, pushing to that high day, these contracts went up over 30%. Over. If this made me 3 grand on one, this whole momentum push, remember, options are going to pay you more on the momentum push as well. These cons even went into the money. So those are like really the main lessons here. Saw my level hold. I saw divergence. I didn't trade my P&L, even though I was up nicely. I respected my stop loss. I reevaluated. I entered, sold. I wasn't greedy here. I wasn't being foolish here. Once I saw on this 5 minute that sellers were stepping in very aggressively here, I had to sell 90% of my position because I'm saying, okay, on the intraday, this is just a hard level to get over, even on the 5 minute. So sold here, sold my runners for break even. Great day. Playing my trade, trading my plan. Green day. Show up tomorrow and do the same thing. I know, when Tesla runs, it's going to run. We're going to get paid very well for that. So that is a trade. That is a shot that I would take 100% every single time. And this is why, we sell our runners for break even, because we felt this level. Tesla's just doing his own thing today. So bullish bias on this name, but textbook type of day, to be honest. We took our loss. We didn't panic. That was something I used to do. It's like, oh, see buyer step in, let me get back in. No, I have to reevaluate. Let this candle close. Let's see what this next candle does, because it's going to be the same stop loss anyway. Clearly, my thesis was correct. Never really should have got stopped out. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I got to respect that. I'm not messing around with that on Tesla. I'm not messing around with that on Tesla. So, ended up respecting my stop loss, which was fine. We see the damage body tells the story. So you see, we never really should have got stopped out. And then this thing pushed higher. So, solid day. You can see Q's is really doing a break and retest of this previous day low. Buyers are in control. Buyers are definitely in control. As soon as we reclaim a previous day low, buyers are in control regardless. But I was hoping, like, you see this whole move here on the Q's? This is what I thought, Tesla was going to do with that. That's why I was so intrigued. I was excited for that. I was like, okay, are we finally going to get this run and push to the top of his zone? But we didn't end up getting that, which is fine. So, very patient. We've only taken, technically, we've taken 3 trades total this week. 2 today, 1 on Monday, but only 2 trading days this week. We had 2 cash days in a row, and we waited for our key level, and we took a trade off our key level. So, whatever happens after that, then we can do. But something I really want, out of everything today, the one main thing I really want you to learn is because traders do not realize they're hurting their P&L when they stare at their P&L when they're in a trade. You really do, because today, in hindsight, we can say, oh, you're up over 3,000, you got to sell that. But if you sell here and there's no reason for you to sell, just because you look at your P&L and this thing runs all the way up here to our another key level, because we've already seen Tesla move. If it runs all the way up here, you're going to be sick to your stomach. You're going to be sick to your stomach. So that's how you hurt your P&L, by building those bad habits. You look at it, you say, oh, I'm up X amount, let me get out. You get out and this thing runs and you're upset. So something for me, it took me a while to do. I'd rather lose a trade than do that. I'd rather lose a trade than cut a trade short. I never know how much a trade is going to make unless I'm in it. So I want to stay in my trades. When I'm wrong, when I'm correct on my thesis on my trades, I'm looking to milk my trade, ride it as long as I can, add to my position. A lot of traders are quick to cut their positions when they are in a winning trade. It takes a while to get out of that. But when you do that and you have that habit, that's because you're making an emotional decision. It's because you're looking at your P&L, you're making a decision based off your P&L. So 100% would take the trade again. Unfortunately, today just wasn't that day on Tesla. And another thing here is just like, I know I broke this down, just not forcing it. I'm still human at the end of the day. I may be robotic with my trading, but every day is a constant, battle with your emotions. Your emotions are, when trading, fight or flight. It's trying to naturally protect you. Sometimes greed is there, right? So did I want to sit through this? Absolutely. I did not want to scale out here. I did not want to scale out here. I'd be lying to you if I said I did, but I read the price action and I had to. Thankfully I did, because if I didn't, that would have been 2 losses. Correct thesis, I took my shots, but that would have been 2 losses on the day. So super solid trade. Crazy part is I didn't really scale down. Never mind. Yeah, I didn't scale down too much on my second entry, because my first one stopped me out for like 10%, roughly like 3,100. And then I re-entered, and on that push, like on this candle, I already made back my loss. Kind of before this candle, like here. And those contracts went for over 30%. So super solid day. And then, this name is, we're still pullback. Look at this. Look at Q's. This is a beautiful break and retest the previous day low. As you know, I don't trade off those levels, but Tesla's still, like, we're long bias on this name. Let's go to Tesla. You could look for a pullback long off this 445. That's a very valid trade. let's go here. Give me one sec. You can see here getting respected. You can see here on the 27th of October, you can see here turn into resistance. You can see on this day on the 15-minute support. So pullback long to 445 is very valid. It's very valid. But if you zoom out here, like I said, as soon as we fall under 450, we're back in this channel. The channel was in between, pretty much 450 and 410. We're back in this channel. So, and then we're not looking to short this name anyway. But yeah, Tesla's just, you just got to be patient. It's a little annoying for sure. You got to know how to trade Tesla. Mainly because, as we see today, Tesla it's strong enough to really do its own thing price action wise. And we clearly saw today it was not following the overall market. Yeah, very annoying. But we see that like now, since we waited for all this consolidation, yada yada yada, our key level here, this is like really our next key level we're waiting to get over. For us to fall back under 445, it's kind of annoying, just because we sat through all this, we grinded. The last 3 days, look at the last 3 days. This looked really promising. Look how this candle closed yesterday. That's a hammer stick. I was waiting for this blow off top today on this 466. This shows buyers are in control. That's a hammer stick candle. And then now you can see we're kind of just falling right back into the channel. So it's a little annoying there for sure, but it's gotta be patient. Now, as for me, coming into tomorrow, I'm not really open to taking a trade off this 450. I'm not really open to that. The reason for that being is because now we're just in a channel. In between 466 and 450, we're just in a channel. So what's the cleaner trade? I break and retest with 466 because there's nothing in its way. There's nothing in its way. Good setup today. You see, this is the trade I was looking for. That was the trade I was looking for. So I'm pretty much gonna call it here. It's a quick day. And it's interesting to look at, AMD and Tesla. Because trust me, AMD, this is a really good move. The IV was very high. We both saw that. I have no idea. I don't even know why the IV was over 100%. That's crazy. But anywho, IV was over 100%, so that was the easy path. But this is perfect. Like, I love to see when we pull back. You've heard me say in the past, like kind of a curl shape. Curl shape is beautiful. You wait for the curl shape. You wait for buyers to step in, take your shot, and you can just have the stop loss under here. So this looked really promising. You want to see the high day turn into support. So, like, if Tesla, I wouldn't be surprised if we do something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So, just kind of a down day here on Tesla. Really a shot. But the main takeaways today, I know I've already broke it down, but to any trader, I promise you, you are hurting yourself if you stare at your P&L when you're in a trade. You are making decisions. Trade your chart, not your pattern. I'm sorry, not your P&L. Trade your game plan, not your emotions. So, it was a slow week, kind of. We had a really good trade on the video on Monday, but does a side of me want to sell into this momentum push, making a quick? This wasn't even 2 minutes, and we were already up over 3,000. Like, does a part of me want to sell that? Of course, or at least scale out. But it took me a while to learn, like, damn, dude, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. I would go back and I would review all my trades, and when I would scale out, when there was no reason to, or I just wasn't trading my plan, I was like, man, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table, and I broke that habit. It took me a while. I broke the habit, and now it's just easy for me to sit in my trades and embrace it, embrace the uncertainty. Big winners require sitting through pain. So, being able to withdraw, sitting in a pullback, a little bit of drawdown, understanding market structure. So that's really the main thing today. Don't ever trade your P&L. Because I know some traders are gonna be like, oh, you should have sold here. You're already up over 3,000. You should have known, bro. I made over 3,000 on this trade alone on the second entry. So I'm trading off the higher time frame. So why are my targets on the intraday? My target should be based on the higher time frames if I'm trading off the higher time frame. So we just saw this on what? Today's Thursday. So on Tuesday, we just saw this. This thing moved $17 in a single day. We were watching this trade. Oh yeah, we were watching this trade. And I was a risk manager. I say I'm a risk manager before I'm a trader. We did not get that pullback deep enough. I really wanted this. And our thesis was right. It ran from here all the way up to here. So what am I expecting today? We get that pullback long. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. We've already seen, this thing run. That's what I'm looking for. So look at this 15-minute. Give me one sec. Look at the 15-minute here. This thing did try. Buyer stepped up here. Buyer stepped up here. You can see we did end up pushing, but today just wasn't his day. And we're not going to force it. So really good shot. We're patient. 8 times out of 10, that trade's going to work. But we made our money. Solid day. For the sake of market structure, I'm just a little annoyed. I feel like Tesla, we did so much. We worked very hard to kind of get out of that. We sat in this forever. As you know, I haven't even been looking at Tesla. I haven't taken any trades on the same. This is my first trade on Tesla in a very long time. So, yeah, now we're just falling back to this channel. So, Now what you want to see. Let's see what's going on in the video. Okay, that's a really on the video. Kind of chocolatey. It did fill this gap. I'm happy about that. Yeah, fill this gap. Happy about that. You know, and then some people, they're probably like, oh, and oh, this is another thing I want to hit on. So some people, this is how you build bad habits. This is how you build bad habits. We are trending. I used to do this too, so I just want you to learn. Over the course of 100 trades and longevity, you will lose more than you will win doing this. We break under the previous day low, so you're looking for shorts because we are under the previous day low, and technically price is moving lower outside of a range. But we are trending on the higher time frame. We are bullish on the higher time frame. So you come into the day and you look for a pop and fade off the previous day low or a break and retest under the previous day low on a trending name, and you get stopped out. And you're like, what did I do wrong? Yada yada yada. And it's because it's a counter trend scalp trade. You're going against the overall trend on the higher time frame. That's going to be stronger. And then what happens sometimes, you actually make money. You actually make money off doing that. And that is probably the worst thing that can happen because you're building bad habits. I've been showing you over and over the pullback longs. Those are the A+ trades in a trending name. So today, you feel like a pro trader, right? And keep in mind, do whatever you need to do to make your money, right? I just want to show you high probability setups and how to properly trade with structure, higher time frame context, the trend is your friend, those things. So today, if I would have taken this trade and I'm just starting off, I feel like I'm a pro trader on Wall Street, breaking retest under the previous day low, all the way to the lower day. That's you're marking that down as an A+ trade, but it's not. It's not. So that's why I would say, have longevity. Think about your next 100 trades because this is you can lose everything in a day. You can gain everything in a day. Like that's just how it goes. So in trading, you always have to think about, tomorrow. I'm never thinking about today. I'm thinking about how will my decisions today affect me tomorrow. And trust me, you feel it when you wake up tomorrow and you got a clear mindset. You look back on, your P&L yesterday and be like, dang it, if only I would have followed my plan or respected my stop loss, I would be green today, or I'll be break even today, or very little red. You know what I mean? So, but you can see here, that's just how you build bad habits. We did end up filling this gap. So I'm very happy to see that. We ended up filling this gap. You see, we gapped up yesterday, made new all-time highs. So we all know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that. Patient pays. I'm just going to let that come to me. I hope this breakdown that I gave you made sense. I used to take these trades too, and really my P&L was just very inconsistent with it. And that's why I really don't even trade off the previous day high and lows anymore. But, if you, one sec. Sorry, this is the previous day low. All right, good lesson here, good breakdown. Like, you think, okay, cool. Like, technically, yes, price is moving lower because we're outside of the previous day high and the previous day low. So technically speaking, price is moving lower. But you have to think, okay, price is pulling back. That's all price is doing. It's pulling back to its key level before buyers load up and push this thing high. That's how you got to think about it. So this is a solid trade. If you take this and you sell at this lower day, you're like, bro, this was an A+ trade. Let me journal this, and now I know what to do moving forward. But I promise you, now if you're scalping and you're looking for a quick 3%, 5%, by all means, take your shots. By all means, take your shots. Very different. I'm not necessarily a scalper. I don't like to scalp. Yeah. So by all means, you can't fix something that's working. I'm sorry. If it's working, keep doing it. Right? You can't fix something that's not broken. But over a course of 100 trades, this one not do you justice. I promise you that. Like I said, the entire point of the break and retest is looking for continuation on our place. You won't really get much continuation if you're counter trading a trend. So I hope that little lesson makes sense. I really want to break that down because that looks like an A+ setup. That looks like an A+ setup. So peace, your own. Almost. Almost got that pullback. Right? See, these trades make sense. This is what we're looking for today on Tesla. You get your pullback to 192.83. This is your RR trade. That's your RR trade. Versus, all right, cool, that's your stop loss. See what I mean? Pullback long, that's the A+ trade. We pulled back to, 194. We pushed up to 199. That's a great trade. Obviously, we didn't pull back to our key level, so we're not going to look to take that trade. But the point here is to show you the pullback long entries are the A+ entry, especially in a trending name. The trend is your friend. You just wait for a price to come back to key levels, read the price action, and take your shot. So look at Palantir, AMD falling under. Even if you took this today, this would be a good shot. I know this is on the pre-market game plan. Obviously, you'll be seeing this after market close. So if you took this today, I mean, I don't know if you would take that with the IV. I built the habit of making sure I look at the IV. The IV was over 100. There's no way in hell I'm touching this name. But it's beautiful to see. Right at open, we pull back, push up, we pull back again, we get a curl. Look at that. That is a beautiful trade on that name. That's a beautiful trade. So if you took that, congrats to you. That's a super solid trade. Apple has earnings today. Apple has earnings today, so we'll see. Even this name, I want to pull back. There's no more key levels up here. So we'll see. Google. It's actually a deeper pullback than I expected. Look how strong buyer stepped up here. Google looks really good. It looks really, really good. Google's been doing some big stuff. Like I have a couple of shares in my long-term portfolio on Google. Google looks really good. Just look at this name. Like just crazy. Ever since early April, just straight upside. Ever since early April. So more than half a year now. Going into November, this thing has just been straight upside. It's no surpriser, like no surprise that this earnings did that. It's really no surprise. So support, support, turn resistance. That's all that is. Solid on the SPY. Break, retest, continuation higher. Yeah. It was just a pullback type of day on Tesla and on Nvidia. Both those names. Really a pullback type of day. Now you heard me say kind of earlier in the week, like that. That's a lot of thin volume. That's a lot of thin volume. If we can get under that and kind of just start to melt, I like that. Nvidia is a big A plus trade loading up, in my opinion. We're bullish bias on this name. We're just waiting for a pullback to a key level. We never got this retest. This is a previous all-time high and a daily. This is a very big level here. So once you understand structure, this is the dip, right? That's the dip in the trend. That's what you're looking for. Okay, but solid day, really good educational day. Yeah, I'm very happy how I managed this and took this. It's really just a competitor in me. I mean, it was a great day. The only thing that I'm a little irritated about is me stopping out early. So that's something, I'm going to go to the drawing board and kind of work on, fix. The only reason I did, like I said, is because, QQQ was pulling back. It was under the previous day low and it was making new lows. That's the only thing. I understand, how structure works, how the market works. We're trending. So in my head, when I sold, I'm thinking to myself, damn, I don't want to sell. It's funny. Get this. This is what I always preach. I don't want to sell for a loss and be part of the squeeze that fuels this move higher. And lo and behold, I was. So that's why I'm very, yeah, like that's me. But that's just like the competitor in me where like I'm a good loser. I'm a great loser. The best losers win. But when I understand, like, damn, if I sell for this right now for a loss, I know this may fuel that move higher, but I gotta respect my stop loss. I didn't want to do that. So the only thing I would do differently is I always say, treat your key levels like mini zones. I never got the candle closure under my zone. I never got a candle closure. So that's on me. That's on me. So just gonna go back to the drawing board, write down my mistake today, and work on that moving forward. I've been doing really well on that, especially on, I was in that trade for almost 2 hours on the video on Monday, so I've been working really well on that because I understand that. But a name like Tesla, I can't mess around. I gotta respect my stop loss, but I did not wait for the candle to close under my stop loss. That's my mistake today. So even though it was a green day, it could have been a better day. Um, that's just me. That's just a competitor in me. So that's noted. But pretty much gonna call it here. Quick session. 7:40. I took my trade maybe a couple of minutes in the market open. So hope you're able to learn from this today. Let's end the week strong. I will have some key levels, drawn up on Apple. I think it's made a few more on the 4 hour for this week, and we'll see how earnings go. So I'll break that down in the pre-market video anyway. Since it has earnings, I'm assuming tomorrow, the IV is going to be a little high. We're going to wait for that to cool off if there is a setup, but we'll see. Very slow week. Very slow week. FOMC yesterday. The day before that was a cash day. Wasn't much going on, but that's expected before a Fed day. We were patient. Yeah, it was this day. Like I said, I already broke this down. I just never got that pullback deep enough, so I didn't take that trade. But patience has been tested this week. We haven't FOMOed into anything. We waited. Even this, give me one sec. Even this, right at market open, you know, buyers ended up holding this. I don't trade the first 2 minute candle. Body of the candle closed here, but we ended up ripping. And I was like, damn, like I think I missed that, which is, again, unfortunate. But I didn't FOMO into that. You know what I mean? I didn't FOMO into that. And then everything's easier to say in hindsight, but when you see this, kind of like this little breakout, this was the retest. And then that's why I was a little upset. I sold on that loss there because I understood that, but gotta respect your stop loss. It's all good. But today was a really solid day, textbook day. We planned our trade. We traded our plan. We managed our risk. We didn't trade our P&L. We looked for the better RR trade. We didn't let emotions control us. We didn't let emotions make decisions. Today was a big day overall, at least for a lesson. So I'm really hoping you're able to learn something from today's session. But I'm gonna call it here. I hope later into the session, this thing can close above 450, but us getting back under 450 is not good. Right? There's now resistance. So we'll see. We'll see. But hope you're able to learn something today. And then going on here, you can see this 258 still being defended here on AMD. Like I said, we did our job. We found a key level that got respected perfectly. No body candle closures at all around open here. None. No body candles, closures under our key level. That's beautiful. So, all right, wrap it up here. Hope you ever learned something. Let's get after it tomorrow. Let's end the week good.